The PS5 Pro is being made specifically for GTA 6. So recently there's been a number of articles surfacing talking about the PS5 Pro and GTA 6 and how they correlate together. And when I say a number of articles, I mean it's all over the news at the moment. In particular, we have this article by CNBC where they are talking to an industry analyst about the PS5 Pro, and the analyst has said that Sony are looking to launch the PS5 Pro on the second half of 2024. And late last year, Sony made predictions of their sales figures for the PS5, the standard PS5, and miraculously at the start of December they slashed those figures dramatically, and we found out about a week later, I think it was around the 17th of December, that we had that news. So we had a month before the GTA 6 first trailer being announced where Sony had really high figures, and then just after the trailer was announced they slashed them. We'll get back onto that in a minute. And the main reason we're getting this news about the PS5 Pro is because it looks like Sony are preparing for the launch of GTA 6, and it is very much the case that they are. They want to have a great piece of hardware ready for the launch of GTA 6 to make sure that they're competitive in the market. But not everything is as it seems, and I want to go into a bit more detail why. But before we get into this video, I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, so if you could just take a couple of seconds to tap that subscribe button, it's massively appreciated. Now normally, large games developers are in regular contact with console manufacturers. So EA will be talking to Microsoft about Xbox, Naughty Dog might be talking to Sony about the latest gen hardware and software, and of course games developers need to work with these manufacturers to make sure that their big upcoming releases are compatible with the consoles. But we know Rockstar Games are tight-lipped on everything. They've always been that way, and we never really get a squeak out of Rockstar unless they are hacked or unless a big intrusion happens, like happened in 2022. But other than that, we really have no information to go off from Rockstar. And this whole situation about Sony slashing their figures has brought something to light. Potentially Sony aren't in conversation with Rockstar as much as they probably should be. Because having predicted sales figures just 2 months prior to the launch of the GTA 6 trailer, and then miraculously out of nowhere those figures get dramatically slashed upon the release of the GTA 6 trailer, makes it look like, at least to an outsider or the industry as a whole, that maybe Sony weren't ready for that announcement. But also, if we go back to September or October last year, which is like 4 to 5 to 6 months ago, the general consensus from the industry is that maybe Sony aren't really working on anything. Because normally, prior to Sony releasing a console, we hear a lot of information. There's a lot of industry buzz. There are people that are responsible for designing third-party accessories that get licensing agreements, for controllers, for cables, for all of this stuff. There's usually a lot of buzz from the industry that says, hey, something is happening at Sony. We hadn't heard anything. We had one little leak of information, which was pretty much speculation on what the actual hardware itself could be, but that was it. So the industry as a whole has accepted that maybe the PS5 isn't happening and the hardware leak we had might be for a PlayStation 6, but that was about it. In fact, just before starting this channel, the first video that I wanted to make for this channel was about the PS5 and all the information that we have or didn't have about the PS5 Pro or the PS6. But out of nowhere, when GTA 6 is announced, we're now hearing Sony scramble, and loads of news is coming out of industry analysts, third-party developers, and we're hearing all of this buzz around what Sony are now doing to get the PS5 Pro ready, which makes it look like, firstly, that they weren't ready for this, but secondly, that they're now having to actively scramble to get things ready for a launch. Now, you may be asking, why would they want to release the PS5 Pro this year as opposed to next year when we're receiving GTA 6? And the reason mainly comes down to the same thing we had with GTA 5. That game came out on the PS3, then came out on the PS4, then it was ported to PS5, then we had the PC versions, the Xbox versions, all the Xbox variants that fall after that. Me personally, I've bought the game 3 times, and I don't even have a PS5, but we'll get back onto that later in the video. We know that GTA 6 will be the best selling game ever. Just on launch day, it's going to be absolutely astronomical, potentially up to $1 billion on launch day. We also know that Sony's gaming division, and in fact consoles in general, are at the moment struggling. So the console market as a whole is a diminishing market. People are now gradually starting to game more on their phones, on their tablets, on PC, and all sorts of other devices such as the Nintendo Switch. So already you have a diminishing market, so whatever is left in that market needs to be salvaged, and this is Sony's last attempt to salvage what they have left of the PS5 brand, and in fact the whole Sony gaming division. So the two big players are obviously Microsoft and Sony, and of course Sony don't really know what's happening at Microsoft, and Microsoft don't really know what's happening at Sony. So it's in Sony's best interest to get the PS5 ready as soon as they can for release, to be the first console out there on next gen, if you want to call it next gen, hardware that can run GTA 6 smoothly. And one of the reasons that the console market is struggling is, of course, there's other ways to play games, and you can use PCs, phones, whatever it might be, but also console releases are happening faster than game-changing games and industry-leading games. A prime example of this is if you're an avid gamer and you are obsessed with gaming, you will probably buy a new console or a new piece of PC tech or something out there that's new that will affect your daily downtime, your leisure time. But Joe Bloggs down the road that works a normal job that's not really into gaming or anything like that isn't going to buy a new console every time one's released. They'll only buy a new console when a game that they are passionate about comes out, and the only way that they can play that game is on that console. Now, before we start commenting, because I know a lot of people will be like, well, everyone gets the new console when they come out and all of that, don't comment that yet. The PlayStation 2, which is one of the best selling consoles of all time, in fact, if not the best selling console of all time. Now, the PS2 was the only console from Sony that you could play GTA Vice City on, and at the time GTA Vice City was a game changer. It revolutionized not just the gaming industry, but the tech industry and pretty much every other graphic industry around it. So a large part of the PlayStation 2 sales were because of Grand Theft Auto, because it didn't appeal to gamers, it appealed to everyone. Nearly every single household in the world bought a PlayStation 2 to indulge in games like GTA, and no other game before or since has done that. But GTA 6 will be the game that does that. A prime example is myself. I consider myself massively into gaming, but I bought the PS3, then I bought the PS4 Pro, and when the PS5 was announced 2 years later, there wasn't a dramatic difference, and there was no new games that encouraged me to want to buy the PS5. I'm not into FIFA or anything like that. For me, the only game that made me want to buy the PS4 Pro was just Red Dead Redemption 2. I wanted to have the best graphics on that game because that was a game I'm passionate about. The only real games that I do enjoy playing are Rockstar's games because they just know how to make a good game. So I didn't buy a PS5. In fact, just to prove how similar the PS4 Pro and the PS5 are to each other, I did a playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2 on this channel, and when I told people it was being done on a PS4 Pro, no one believed me. Because unless you're pixel peeping or you're looking really uniquely into very small details, you're not going to tell the difference between the PS4 Pro and the PS5. It's a hot take, I know, but if the graphic ability of the PS4 Pro and the PS5 was that different, surely there would have been at least one comment from someone saying, hey, this doesn't look quite right. But there wasn't. So what am I getting at? Well, there's three people that bought the PS5. Firstly, people that really wanted a game that was only available on the PS5. Secondly, people who just bought it as their first real console or received it as a gift at Christmas, or just wanted to try the next gen hardware. Or thirdly is the people that hadn't bought a console in years and just thought they were due an upgrade, or it was made more easily attainable through a finance deal, a phone contract deal, or a pay monthly system. Overall, the PS5 didn't provide any massive benefits to the wider community. To gamers it did, but to the wider community and the general population, they didn't get any benefits from it. So let's talk about GTA 6. Now, there's two people that fall into the interested in GTA 6 category. You've got the general population, which are just really excited for another Grand Theft Auto game because it's been 11 years, and by the time we get this, it would have been 12 years since the last one. And there is a massive amount of people that are just excited for Grand Theft Auto games and no other games other than Grand Theft Auto. And then we have the people that are passionate about gaming, the people that watch my channel, the people that watch other channels on YouTube, and the people that are interested in all the GTA 6 leaks and information that we get. Now, if we take a look at all the patents filed by Take-Two Interactive, all the AI software, and I've done videos on all of these topics, and what we've learned so far is that the PS5 is going to really struggle to run GTA 6. If we've got all of these algorithms happening in the background, as well as all the AI technology, as well as prospective things like ray tracing and all of these complex things that are really intensive on GPUs, the PS5 is going to struggle. So we are going to have that really strong gaming community that want the best GTA 6 experience that will buy the PS5 Pro. And then we have all of these people that never bought a PS5 to begin with that will now just buy the standard PS5 just to be able to play GTA 6, and they're not interested in ray tracing or any of this stuff because the PS5 and GTA 6 will look incredible anyway without all of that additional stuff. So the PS5 Pro is the perfect tool for Sony to get avid gamers to spend more money and also to introduce new people to the PS5 gen hardware. Now, I wanted to give an example of this wider community. So what I've done is I've asked 12 of my friends who aren't gamers and aren't really interested in gaming 2 simple questions. 1, do they have a PS5 or the current generation of Xbox? And 2, will they be getting GTA 6 when it comes out? And just for example, one of them's a plumbing contractor and one of them runs a bar. Pretty average, normal, everyday people. 9 of them said that they don't have the latest hardware, and 2 of them owned a PS5 and 1 of them owned the latest Xbox, but all all 12 of them said that they're going to get GTA 6 when it comes out. And when I've just replied back to them saying, by the way, you know that's only coming out on PS5, and they've just replied, yeah, I'll just get a PS5 then. And this is the mentality that Sony are relying on to sell their consoles. And the final thing I want to talk about is timescales. So if the PS5 Pro is launched, for example, next year, that's going to cause a problem for Sony because that's getting dangerously close to when the PS6 is going to come out. Now, the CEO of Sony has come out and stated that the PS5 is entering its last leg of its lifespan as a console, which means that they're now considering the option for the PlayStation 6 or, of course, the PS5 Pro and updated hardware. But since that statement was made, we've had a lot more news about the PS5 Pro, so it's very clear Sony are pushing their efforts to the PS5 Pro. So getting the PS5 Pro out this year is really important to Sony because otherwise people will make the same decision that I made. For example, I bought the PS4 Pro at the end of 2018, and in 2020 the PS5 came out. So I was like, well, I've only had this console for like 2 years, I'm not going to go and buy another console. There's no point. Whereas if the cycle or the gap is like 3 years in between, people aren't going to wait 2 to 3 years to get the best experience they can out of GTA 6 after already waiting 12 years for the game to come out. So what Sony are doing is they're spacing out the releases a little bit more to make the PS5 Pro way more competitive in the market and way more of a no-brainer for you to go out and buy it. And also they're likely to do what they did with GTA 5. I bought it on the PS3, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox. So by Sony releasing the PS5 Pro this year, they're adding an extra console into the mix, which will encourage more game sales for Rockstar in the future, which of course works in benefit for both Sony and Rockstar Games. So that's all for today's video. I thought I'd just share my findings on this and also share some of my theories. I know a lot of people have asked me what my thoughts are on the PS5 Pro, so I thought this is a video that's probably long overdue. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing. Also, there's only 5 of these hoodies left, so if you want one, you can go and grab one in the top right hand corner. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.